We're back with a new video. This time, we're delving into spoilers for Wrath of Man, the new Guy Ritchie film starring Jason Statham. Nick, let's get right into it. What were your initial thoughts on the film?
It was interesting because like I've seen like a few Guy Ritchie films, but I feel like the first true Guy Ritchie film I saw was The Gentleman last year. And this one is like very different to like this one's different and I feel like tone. It's a lot darker than I was like expecting, a lot more like violent than like The Gentleman was. Um, but I mean I like and it took me a bit to just like I guess hop onto the story he was telling, but I think like by the end I was like, okay, I think that was actually like pretty entertaining. I think, Jason Statham's like usual thing, usual like acting performance. It actually I think it like worked for the character here. Um and I know the action's really great. Like Ritchie really knows how to shoot action. And I don't know, like just for general overall right I think I enjoyed it. That's about I would say like that was like it was like I was like by the end I was like, okay, that was like solidly entertained by the end of his like 2.5 hour run.
I will say for Jason Statham,
Hmm.
I'm usually like he's a little bit too serious in roles.
Yeah.
Perfect fit for this role. And I think we get the most, he feels like a character, not like Jason Statham in a movie.
Yeah.
Um, I really like the way this film's shot. I
Hmm.
like how it takes its time. I love some of the long takes at the beginning of the film.
Yes, for sure.
I think those are really interesting and a good way of building tension without doing a bunch of quick cuts. I thought that was really smart. And I really just love everything about this directed. The action, the first set piece,
Hmm.
we can go into spoilers. So when he gets out of the truck and just starts gunning people
Yeah.
down, I mean, that's a great tone setter for a film.
Hmm.
I will say the third action set piece levels it up. It feels
Big whole like
almost
heist
John
at the end.
Wicky.
The heist
Yeah,
at the end. Yeah.
it feels almost John Wicky with the soldiers with the essentially bulletproof armor for the
Yeah.
most part, which I really loved. And I loved how they made Jason Statham not, you know, next level. He
Yeah.
wasn't John Wick,
It was
because this isn't that kind of film.
right. He was taking hits. He got seriously injured quite a few points in the movie. It wasn't like a clean getaway for anyone really.
Yeah. Nick, I'm going to send it back to you as the sirens come in the background here. Um, what did you think of the plot of the film?
I think like as I got like into it, well, I kind of knew where it was going just because like I saw the trailer and the trailer like awful trailer for the movie. The trailer kind of revealed the whole thing with his son, and I was like, oh great, I know that's gonna be a thing. And so like, I was kind of like aware like there was like a greater agenda going on. What I didn't expect was the whole shift to Jeffrey Donovan's character, and I wasn't expecting to spend as much time with his character. Um, Essentially, what was like a whole like flashback second act really like goes back to like not just when his son gets shot, but then the fallout of his son getting shot, then switches to another flashback of Donovan's character building up until the whole the whole act. And I was caught off guard by that, but I actually I think I quite enjoyed like just that shift in narrative. Um because like I think they did a pretty interesting job just giving I think I don't know if like Richie wrote, I'm just gonna double check, like whoever wrote the script, I like that they tried to make the whole like main antagonist like not just oh like a couple of like random like crooks or gangsters. Like there was like an attempt to like characterize them as well. And yeah, Richie did have a hand in writing it. So um I just thought it was cool to switch and like give the gangsters that much of like a perspective and trying to like build out some of the other characters.
Yeah, I thought it was really smart.
Mhm.
They needed a passage of time from the end of the first, I think, chapter to the third or fourth. I think there are four chapters. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Um, but it's either from the first two to the fourth chapter, I think. I could be remembering that wrong. But I like that they use that passage of time to go back
Mhm.
and tell the stories of Jason Statham's character and
Yeah.
the military characters who perform the heist. I think this is maybe my favorite Scott Eastwood performance.
It's Scott Eastwood just
Just
being
gonna
like
put
a
that out
big
there.
like yeah. I mean, I haven't seen him in much, but like definitely as like the wild card villain. I think, especially playing against the leader and Jeffrey Donovan. I think yeah, it was a pretty cool like dynamic overall.
Because normally I don't buy Scott Eastwood in films.
Mhm.
Um, he just like kind of takes me out of the movie for one reason or another. And in this film, I was like, no, I'm in on this character. This dude's like a wacky kind of
Yeah.
guy.
Mhm.
And I really liked it. They had one of the guys from The Boys in the film, which I love. That like
Yeah.
shout out to him. He's a baller.
Mhm.
Um, and I just think the creating those stakes for both sides was really interesting, and it gives you enough of a second thought of what's going to happen in the third act
Right.
as they introduce it. You know, Jason Statham is going to be the winner,
Right.
but it gives you enough thought that there. It feels like there are stakes in the third act, right? You don't want those characters to die, except for Scott Eastwood, really.
Right. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it was like it was I was just surprised at the time spent on just like giving like you spent it wasn't just oh here's their origin story. This is like you see their first heist, you see them with their families, you see them planning out this finals. I particularly like how the entire third act was just edited because it's like Jason Statham comes back into action and focus. You see them cutting back to the original planning of the heist, so you kind of like follow their plan as it on them planning the plan as it actually unfolds. You get all the like action, a lot of one takes, and just like great like gunfight sequences, all leading up into like the final like thing. I that was like a solid just piece of like that was just a solid like action sequence. I think that was like just really well edited, really just well paced.
Yeah, I love. There's a rhythm to this film with the music that I thought was really impressive. Um, the way that they had gunshots, or it's one time it's in the loading bay where he's getting his gun for the
Yeah.
truck, and
Mhm.
it's just perfectly synced with the music.
Mhm.
I love those little details, and I think it really helps elevate the film.
Right.
Let's get into a little bit of the negative. What did you find that kind of away from the film?
I as much as I enjoyed Jason Statham in this film, I enjoyed his character and the focus on it. I do feel that in the shift to Jeffrey Donovan's character, like I forgot like Statham was a thing. So like that by the time he did emerge and he was like, like firing bullets, I was like, oh yeah, like he's still the protagonist of the film. And like I still enjoy the way the screenplay came out. And then like in reality, like looking back, it's like not it didn't take away that much, but I do remember like it's like Jeffrey Donovan died, the rest of his crew died, and like Scott Eastwood got away, and like I was like mourning those deaths, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know, it was just like a whole lot when all the characters came together. Despite me just saying like, just as a action sequence is really well edited, I think taking away from Statham's character, um, I just like I got like I just like got lost for a bit. That but like I feel like that's not as big of a thing because it's still I think it held together really well. Um, I'm trying to think like what else. I will say the whole like the first time it hands off to the flashbacks, I wasn't really sure still. Like I got caught off guard yet again just because like he's with the girl and he's like interrogating her about something. And I like you don't get any context on what's happening until it cuts back, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's like not just like a criminal, he's like a powerful like gangster or whatever. And there's like just like a lot of stuff. I don't know. I would say those were like kind of the main stuff. Other than that, like I would I don't really have anything at the moment. I'm trying to like recall. It's been a few days since I've seen it, but at least those are things that come to mind.
So I know for me, some of the negatives were just kind of the connection between Jason Statham and his son. And we get a little scene and a little kind of context to it, but it doesn't feel quite that emotional enough to justify the actions that he's doing as a gangster for the rest of the that section of the film. And I think because of that, there's kind of an apprehension and not quite the emotional stakes that you could have gotten. I think it's still enough for the third act, but I think there's just a next level that it could have been pushed to with that.
Mhm.
And then I think there's maybe a little bit more with the military they could have done, though I think actually that was pretty well handled.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have a ton in the negative, to be honest. I think this, certain stories have their maximum capability of what they can hit, and I think this is just kind
Yeah.
of its maximum level.
Yeah, like that's like the interesting thing is that like I wouldn't say like, we're still early in the year, so like I would say currently it ranks high, but I could see it like maybe falling down just depending on what comes out. But I'm also like this wasn't a bad film at all. Um I don't know if you're frozen or if I'm frozen or if I'm getting anything out there. Um all right, now
Again,
there we go. Um all right, let me
let me try something.
okay.
Hmm. All right. My connection should be stable.
Mhm.
Hmm. Restart the router after this. So we were going to go into your final thoughts, so I think
Yeah.
we should just pick up from there.
Mhm.
All right, we'll do a 5-second countdown.
Yeah, so like this was one of the interesting parts where I'm like, this film was like solid. I wouldn't say like it was like is gonna like potentially stay at the top of my like list forever, but like I will say like for what it was, it's actually like really solid. It doesn't take it goes into an unexpected route. Jason Statham works here. Guy Ritchie does his thing. I actually do enjoy that it's not his classic crime comedy type thing. I actually do enjoy the darker bent to it. And I think right now it's like hovering in like mid to top tier of my film list. I would say it's just right around there. I think it's really entertaining. I think it's a great like crime thing film without being like too heavy on like a Scorsese picture. It's like just solid enough and just entertaining enough that like you can like go with it easy.
Yeah, I really love the concept. I think Guy Ritchie took this story to the maximum level possible,
Yeah.
and succeeded in that sense. I had a really good time watching this movie, and I
Mhm.
would 100% recommend it. Even though if you've gone this far, you've already seen it. So,
Right.
but let us know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. What were your favorite parts, least favorite parts? Break it down for us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.